Hello, my name is Mr. Steiner, and welcome to our Flip video series for 8th grade U.S. history. Here we have Unit 2, European Colonization, and we're starting with Unit 2 because Unit 1 was actually a geography introduction series. So Unit 2, European Colonization, or as I call it, Home on the James. Now this Flip video series is being done for a middle school in Texas for 8th graders, so we follow what are called the TEACs. And for our first lesson, Lesson 1, Europeans Colonize America, our TEACs, which by the way stands for Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. These are the items from the Texas Board of Education that they want us to cover in our U.S. history classes. So our TEACs are 1A, I can identify colonization, and then 2A and 2B when we describe and compare the political, social, religious, and economic reasons why Europeans explored and colonized North America. So our story begins a long time, about 500 years ago, on a continent far, far away. Sorry about the Star Wars reference there. And the Renaissance brought new discoveries in shipbuilding, navigation, and map making. The Renaissance was a time of great discovery where Europeans were rediscovering the lost knowledge of the Greeks and Romans and also venturing east and finding new knowledge in the Asian and Arab parts of the world. So these European countries, again, found new discoveries. They began to use these discoveries to sail the oceans and trying to find new trade routes to Asia. And one of these explorers, Columbus particularly, his discovery of the Americas led to a race to establish colonies in North and South America. Now, why did Europeans want colonies in the first place? They subscribed to an economic idea called mercantilism, in which the European countries were all competing against each other. France, England, the Dutch, Portugal, all these countries were in competition, and the goal was to amass the most wealth because trade wealth equaled national power. And countries needed natural resources. Their own countries in Europe were fairly small, so they needed natural resources from other parts of the world to sell and to manufacture these into goods to trade. So the colonies became a source of their raw materials, and hopefully the most valuable of all, which was gold, if they could find it. Meanwhile, back home in Europe, the countries were also involved in religious warfare. A new branch of Christianity called the Protestant faith had resulted in several countries adopting the Protestant religions, for example, England, and they were feuding with Catholic countries such as Spain and France over which version of Christianity was going to be the right one, because most had a state version of Christianity. And minority religious groups within those countries faced persecution and sometimes even death. Also, economically, most land was owned by the nobles, who were the wealthy people who controlled Europe, or by the church. And this meant a lack of economic opportunity for commoners because without land, there was no chance for economic advancement. And that brings us to what we call the 3 G's of European exploration. Why did they explore? The first of these was gold, and obviously to make money. Now, gold could have also been in trades such as furs or trees or whatever resources that they happen to find in that part of the world. The second of our G's is glory, and this was military heroes, people who with no wars to fight in Europe sought the exploration as an opportunity to come home very very successful in their conquest and to earn fame and fortune back in Europe. And the third of these is God, which means either religious freedom or the opportunity to spread Christianity to Native Americans through missionaries. So who colonized America? We're going to look at 3 main countries here. The first of these is Spain, and since we are in Texas, you learned about these in Texas history in the 7th grade. The Spanish explored the southern part of North America. They conquered and enslaved many of the natives that they found in the South, in Central America and American Southwest. For example, the Aztec Indians in Mexico, or the Indians of the plains that they found in what is now the southern U.S. While there, they built many missions, established farms, but they built very few large settlements. For the most part, their goal was to turn the natives into Spanish citizens by converting them to Christianity. So they didn't build a lot of large towns and settle the land. The second country we're going to look at is France. France explored and claimed the Mississippi Valley in the central U.S. The explorer La Salle sailed down the Mississippi River. He claimed all the land that drained in that river, and he called it Louisiana in honor of his king, Louis XIV. They also claimed eastern Canada. And like the Spanish, they also brought over few settlers. They mostly were looking for gold, but they actually found a different form of gold, a way to make money, and that was in the trade, in the trapping of furs and trade with the Native Americans. And then because of this, they established several important trade centers such as Montreal, Quebec, and New Orleans, which would later become important to the United States. And finally, we get to England. Okay, the English settled along North America, along the eastern Atlantic coast, and they competed with the French for Canada. And unlike Spain and France, the English actually brought over families and they settled the land. They established towns, ports, and large farming communities. And unlike the Spanish, they were not as concerned with missionary work, and they in fact saw the natives as a threat to their own expansion. So if we take a look at this map here, we can see the various areas. Here we see the areas claimed by Spain, the southwestern area here, Mexico, and Florida and the Caribbean. The area claimed by France, which is around the Mississippi River, and of course parts of Canada. The British claimed the Atlantic coast, and also a good portion of Canada. Now we're going to end each of our Flip video lessons with what we call our thoughts, and the purpose of these is to make you go back through your notes and to evaluate what you've done and to summarize what you've done, and also to come up with your own thoughts about what you've studied. So in this case, our question 1 is, how did the Spanish, French, and English colonies in North America differ in their goals and settlements? And 2, what were 2 things that European colonists hoped to find in America that they couldn't have in their home countries? So think about these, look over your notes, and answer these in your notes, and then we will come back with Lesson 2 on Virginia, the first English colony.